Alright, I gotta do a video tonight before I go to sleep. I've been requested to do an Elko point recently, very recently, so I'm saying to myself, that's not too difficult, especially because they're made of obsidian, and obsidian is usually pretty straightforward to knap. It has delicate, they have delicate bases, right? I was just looking these up. This one's an Elko corner notch. But these come in various varieties on projectilepoints.net. You've got Elko eared, which is the type I'm going to do. It's going to have a delicate stem with nice barbs and thin ears. There's also an Elko side notch. All right, let's see if I push this. There it is. These ears, some are delicate, some are not. I don't know if that's been used and abused and has lost its ears or what, but it's not very eared or barbed. Not like these here, down here. Anyway, maximum length seems to be around 2 inches, so it's not a large point, although I think they can get pretty large sometimes. So they look like little dart points. And they're all seeming to be in this area: the side notch, the eared, and the corner notched, all the same area. Corner notch is pretty straightforward, so I'm going to do one that might fit into one of these categories. There's an Elko split stem as well. Come on. Let's see. Yeah, and the pictures are all messed up. I can't see what they look like, but the picture says it looks like this. And these are longer than 2 inches maximum. Average 31 to 51, but it says up to 65 millimeter for the total length. 51 is the maximum average for all the other ones. And that's about 2 inches, a little over 2 inches. So it's almost like an arrowhead point, but it's late to transitional archaic, 3500 to 1400 before present. BP or before present means before 1950, 1950. Okay. So let's see if I can do one out of this. I should have plenty of space for a 2-incher. Yeah. So we'll do a rock to point obsidian. I don't think I've done many rock to point obsidian videos. So let's try it on this. I don't know what kind of obsidian this is. I'll try to maximize it. Okay. And what's typical of obsidian is you probably won't be able to see this very well, but it's relatively easy for me to work, so that's why I'm doing it. It's very late. Everybody's in bed or trying to get into bed to sleep. That includes the dogs. They're not out and about and getting into trouble. Let's see what I can do here. This looks like a smoky or banded obsidian. Quality is okay. Not that great, but that's cool. I don't care. I don't know if I'll be able to get another big spall. I was hoping to get 2 big spalls, but it looks like I'm not going to. One was good enough, I suppose. Now I just got to reduce it down. Alright. I will reduce it opportunistically. I've got my obsidian gaiters on. This stuff is really nasty. As far as slivers go, they'll get you. I keep saying it. I'll keep mentioning it. I will keep mentioning it every time I do obsidian. So I don't want anyone to suffer with these unnecessarily. You got to know what you're getting yourself into when you're doing this. All right. I don't know. It's hard to use these. I might not save that one. I gotta focus on this because this, if it's a lower quality obsidian, it tends to snap in half easily. The higher quality stuff doesn't snap in half so easily. That's why it's higher quality. It's got more elasticity. The quality, there's like 3 main characteristics of high quality stuff, whether it's obsidian or anything else. Number 1 on the list is elasticity. It does have to be brittle, but if it's slightly elastic, you can run long flakes on it. All right, that's the first one. Second one is ease of running flakes that terminate with a feather termination. If you can run flakes easily with a feather termination, which is smooth, that's part of being high quality. If it's step fractures, we call it steppy. If it tends to step fracture a lot and not feather terminate, we call that steppy, and that steppy stuff is never a high grade. Never. It has to be conducive and most likely to feather out on the termination. Okay? And third, on my list anyway, the strength of the edge. It has to have a strong edge, even though it may be thin. If it's a crunchy edge, it's never high quality stuff. If it crunches too much, it's not high quality, even though it may be a heat treat. Not all heat treats are high quality. If it has a very crunchy edge and you can't power through a lot of areas and you can't remove turtlebacks because the edge is too crunchy, it's not a high quality material. Okay? Now the ease at which it will flake, like obsidian is very easy to flake in comparison to chert. I don't count that as part of the high grade or low grade stuff. Because I can always adjust the strength of the blows to accommodate what it needs for running big flakes. I don't need to hit obsidian as hard to run big flakes as I do chert. So it's just a matter of adjusting your strength of the force of the how should I say this? The intensity of the applied force. It just needs to be varied to produce long flakes. So I don't count that as part of the high quality criteria. All right? Okay. Tomorrow I won't remember my own list. I'll have to look back on the video. But anyway, I've got 3 main characteristics for high quality stuff. Just for FYI. That's how I judge it. If I say something if I say it's high quality, it's got good flexibility, it terminates in feather terminations, and the edge is strong enough to do whatever I want with it. All right. It has nothing really to do with how much power I need to generate to run long flakes. Okay. That may be on somebody's criteria list for high quality. They might not like it if they have to hit it really, really hard, or they might not like it if they can't hit it hard. Like if it's really delicate like obsidian. They may not like it because it requires a very delicate touch. A tiptoe through the tulips type of napping session. And some guys don't like that. It's perfectly understandable. All right. was that? I found out where to get these now. Flintknappingsupplies.com. I hope that's correct. Flintknappingsupplies.com. $8 each. Flintknappingsupplies.com. I'm pretty sure that's the address. I was just told that not long ago, tonight, or earlier today. So it's still fresh on my memory. But I'll put a link. I'll make a new materials video or something. Anyway, I asked around a lot for abraders. Where does everyone get their abraders from and stuff? And they get them from all different kinds of outlets, and mail order, and stores, and industrial supply houses. I mean, I was amazed. I just made it easy on myself and go to the hardware store and buy a grinding wheel for a bench grinder and break it up. That's what I've always done. Even though I've seen all these fancy abraders everyone else is using. I saw one guy using a broken grinding wheel, and I go, what is that? It looks broken. He said, yeah, it's a broken grinding wheel. Did you break it by using it on the grinder, or did you break it on purpose for the knapping? That's what I asked. I'm pretty sure I asked that. I don't know. But I found out that, you can break them on purpose. So I said, cool. I will buy one and I'll break it on purpose, and then I will giggle because I like breaking stuff. Funny that, huh? I'm a napper and I like breaking stuff. I wonder why I like knapping. That might be one of the reasons. Why is it that some people like breaking stuff, or smashing, or pounding, crumbling? There's a lot of words in English for abusing materials, huh? It's weird. Pulverizing. Yeah, I used to pulverize points when I messed them up. I wouldn't save the broken pieces. I would smash. I would take the two halves and I would smash them all up until they became dust in the wind. Yep. Little bitty cruddies. And dust. The more dust, the better. And the more dust in the wind, the better. Yeah, like the song. Dust in the wind. Another one bites the dust. Eat my dust, Tyrone. That kind of thing. But now I just save the pieces, and I can make points out of the pieces. But back in the day, when I first started, it felt like bad luck to work the broken pieces. I didn't want to be reminded that it had broken on me before already. I suppose. I think that was the reasoning. It didn't feel lucky to be working a broken piece. All right, stage 2. I already cleaned up. See, I cleaned up. Now stage 2, where it's thinning time. Was I thinning it before? No, I was bifacing. That's kind of sort of thinning, but not. This is getting down to the nitty gritty. To take it down to a thinness that'll qualify it as a projectile point and not some kind of clunky knife or scraper. Yeah. Or tomahawk blade or adze blade. You want to get it down to a projectile point thickness. And what is that? Well, for me, typical thickness is 5 to 1 or 6 to 1. That's average. Width to thickness ratio, in case you don't know. My typical thicknesses when I feel like they look good are 5:1 to 6:1. If I want them to look exceptionally thin, I'll go to 8:1 if I can. Sometimes I reach 9:1 if I'm lucky. I have gone to thinner than that. I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure I've gone more than 9:1. Once it starts going past 9:1, I start petering off and I get diminishing results, and I don't really get too many 9:1 points finished because they break. I end up breaking them, or I end up not liking them because they've got some sort of defect that I cannot remove because it's too thin now. I can't damage control it when it's too thin. It has to have some meat on it for me to remove the defects. This is aluminum, by the way, on this one. You can tell by the difference in the tone of the metal. Watch, I got a chip in my finger. It's in my glove. There is a sneaky in the tip of my finger in my glove, and there's no holes in it. I hate that. The sneaky obsidian flake. And yeah, I pay attention to even the little minute flakes because those are the ones that keep me awake at night. Yeah. Alright, so what was I gonna do? I lost my train of thought because of that little poker got my fingertip. Oh yeah, I was gonna get you the steel, the difference between steel and aluminum when I'm knapping. In case you don't know, steel, aluminum, steel, aluminum. You can tell by the tone. That way you don't have to ask me. You can still ask me, but if I forget to answer, or if I'm just waking up in the morning and I see the messages but I forget to answer, you won't be too lost. Hopefully you can kind of figure it out from the tone of the metal. Yeah, I don't like to have people out in limbo wondering what materials I'm using. Someone asks me what I'm using, I try to tell them exactly. I'm trying to show you exactly how I use it. Yeah. I like answering questions and stuff. It helps me remember stuff. Or it helps me to understand where my limitations are. If I can't answer a question, that's one of my limitations. I go, wait a minute, I got to work on that. If I can't answer it, I need to look it up or work on it, figure it out. So what am I doing here? I'm trying to thin it. I'm trying to thin it down. I'm looking for opportunistic areas. It's kind of a crunchy obsidian, so it tends to crunch on the edges. But that's okay. That's to be expected. I'm using a softer metal to prevent some of the crunching. And yes, it helps to prevent some of the crunching if you use a softer material. It doesn't help all of it, but it does help a lot, I think, depending on how you use it, of course. I still need to abrade the edges. That also helps to prevent crunching. Yeah. But that's not the only thing. Yeah, and if you hit too hard, that's what happens. Luckily, it's 3 inches long. And these Elkos are 2 inches long, so I got plenty of room to make mistakes at this point. And I'm not worried about step fractures at this point. If I get some, I get some. If I don't, I don't. I just gotta make sure I don't install a curve. That's a bad thing. While I'm doing this, if I dig too deep with a flake or two, I could wake up from my zone and find that I just installed a curve. Yeah. You can get in the zone and totally miss the obvious. And then you look at it and you go, wait a second, this was not curved a second ago. Then you figure out that flake was too big. It was too deep. Yeah. Too much gusto. Yeah. It's easy to do. It's easy to lose track, especially with Obsidian. It's easy to get ahead of yourself. Some people might be saying, that's all I do with Obsidians. I get ahead of myself and I trip over my own feet. That's just my whole last story with Obsidian. Yeah, I know. I know the feeling. It's merciless. Obsidian does not care about your feelings. Oh no. Just when you think you've got it mastered, it'll pull a fast one and it'll laugh at you. Ha ha. You thought you were gonna flake a perfect edge, huh? Well, look at all them crushes on the edge and all them powdery white areas. Yeah. Now what you gonna do? Yeah. It laughs at you. It asks you what you're gonna do now. And then when you answer, it'll laugh again. Haha. Think so, huh? You think so? You got high hopes. It'll laugh at you, thinking, it'll mock you, saying, you got high hopes there, boy. Yep. I'm dropping my tools over here. But I don't let the Obsidian get to me. It'll mock me and it'll do all kinds of stupid stuff, but I don't let it get to me. No, I don't care. In the end, I had the last laugh because if I don't like it, I just pulverize it. You know, it becomes dust like it never existed. Just a bunch of sparkly glass dust. And that's it. No big deal. Alright, so I've got to think about now. It's getting pretty thin. I got to think about shaping it. It's not going all that well as far as producing a nice clean flaked surface. I don't like it too flakery. I like a lot of bold flakes. It's because of a habit. That's what I default to. I can produce lots of flakes if I want to achieve that kind of look. If I want to reproduce an artifact that has that look to it. Some artifacts have that look, that flakery look, where there's lots of flakes on the surface. Yeah. So don't think that, you know, a lot of bold flakes is typical of every point type. I just like the way it looks. So I do most of my stuff that way. But to reproduce items, you got to go with what they used to do it. You have to go with what they used to do to reproduce flakes. No one knows exactly the methods that they use, but you can use a method that produces the same result. They may have used the method that you're using. Chances are pretty good that they did, but you don't know for sure. The big thing is you don't know for sure how they did it. You have a good idea because you're obviously getting the same results. If you're getting the same results, then it's a good possibility they were using the technique that you're using. But don't get too overconfident, because there's more than one method to skin a cat, so to speak. So if you want to know the truth about the matter, you have to acknowledge that there's more than one way to do it. And that's the truth. So, it's already 20-something minutes. I was hoping that this was not going to take a long time, but I'm finding that this is very steppy, this type of obsidian. Or I'm just not adapting to it well. Hold on. It wants to dive in, which is pretty typical, right? But some obsidian is more divey than others. Some obsidians are more divey, more hingy, and more steppy. This one's kind of mid-grade. And it is a bandit, I think. Is it? Yeah, it's got bands in it, and it's got like smoky areas. Bands and smoke. Can you see that? Oh, there it is. Bands. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of starting to listen. I was thinking about listening to podcasts to try and fall asleep. Earlier, I was thinking I've listened to a ton of audiobooks and stuff, and I fall asleep listening to those. And I usually listen to them over and over and over again. Certain books. The good ones you gotta listen to more than once, of course. But in the course of being repetitive, sometimes you fall asleep, and sometimes it's advantageous that it helps you fall asleep. So some of my favorite books I end up falling asleep to. But I was thinking maybe I should try it with podcasts. So I was listening to some podcasts and see how they are. The thing I don't like about podcasts is that once in a while there's some weird music and some ads and some noises that are irritating. You gotta pause for station identification or sponsorship or whatever. We used to call it, we're gonna pause the broadcasting for station identification. That kind of thing. Anyway, I said no. It's not good for sleeping when you're interrupted by these weird noises and ads. They're not talking about the subject matter you want to talk about all the time. You get distracted. It's distracted, and they're doing the commercial. You need to go and get yourself some food. So what is it? What is this conversation? What is this? Oh, it's an ad. Okay. Time to get some food. And then you come back and they're already back onto the subject, and you go, wait a minute, what did I miss? Rewind it. You rewind it and there's the ad. Okay, I know the ad, but where did it leave off? You don't know. You gotta be goofing around with it to get back to the the conversation right where you left off, hopefully. When they do their own ads, you don't know when the ad starts or stops. So I said, you know what, this is useless. Yeah. I gotta find these podcasts that don't have these sponsorships that they gotta interrupt their podcast with. One of my favorite ones was going to be this neuroscientist, because I want to study the brain, but he's got tons of ads. He advertises for supplements and all kinds of weird stuff. I said, nah, it's okay. I'll listen to something else. I'll just get more audiobooks on the brain. How's that? We know very little about the brain. Comparatively speaking, in the world of knowledge, there's a lot of knowledge that needs to be learned about the brain, and they're thinking we're just barely scratching the surface. There seems to be a whole huge amount of things we don't know about the brain. Now, I don't know if they're saying that just so they can get more funding. Yeah, man, we don't know nothing. Give us more money so we can find out. Okay? Hint, hint, wink, wink. It could be that. But it also could be true that we don't know nothing. Comparatively speaking. We're just scratching the surface. Chances are it's probably both. They want to emphasize that fact to get funding, but it's also true. Yeah. Yeah. One thing I want to know is why we have such a bad response to stress. When that's what nature does to us all the time. It stresses us out. And yet we have such a bad response to stress. Was there a time where nature did not stress us out, and then all of a sudden we became sensitive and wimpy mentally? Was there a transition point somewhere where we became wimpy? Because, you know, stuff like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, it can ruin people's lives, and all it is a response to trauma and stress. Something that should strengthen the brain is actually weakening the brain. Like when you stress your muscles, it'll strengthen the muscle. But with the brain, in many cases, and in some people it's a worse effect than others, stress destroys the brain instead of helping it to become stronger. That to me doesn't make much sense. Why would that happen in evolution? Unless there was somebody or something messing with the way the human brain develops. Maybe we're preserving people who are too sensitive somehow. Maybe. Somehow we're sheltering people who are very sensitive. That sounds kind of familiar. It leads to more people with brains that don't adapt well to stress. That's not good. It's not good at all. So yeah, I thought, you know, growing up, I thought that mental toughness was due to exposure to trauma. It's not. Mental toughness has to do with good habits. You have to train your brain to be healthy. Just like exercise. There's exercise and then there's bullshit-size, as I call it. Some exercise is good and some exercise is bad. I've learned that part. Not all exercising helps you. And I think it's the same with the brain. Not all trauma, not all stress is good for you. And we're seeing that, and we're seeing the abuse of that. You know, people who are malicious, they understand that stress will cause their enemies to become weak. So they constantly try to stress out their opponents. Constantly trying to apply stress to their opponents to weaken them mentally. Make them into crybabies. Stuff like that. Right? That's what I'm thinking. How does Flintknapping help you deal with that? Well, one of the secrets of life is to develop skills. If you're focused on skill development, it teaches you how to develop good habits toward a goal. And that's what you need. A healthy brain needs good habits with good techniques for thinking. Not just any old thing. Not just exposure to stress. Because a lot of it's BS. Yep. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets critical because I'm getting really, really thin according to my ability. I don't want to pop the tip off. I'm using just my bare hands so I can get the feel for this. I want to make sure that I'm not missing any clues or cues on how to flake this material. A lot of it is done by feel and not necessarily by formula. It's just done by feel in many cases. At least with me. If I really want to get into the zone, a lot of it has to do with the way it feels like the flakes are coming off. I don't know how to explain it, but the subconscious, it pretty much takes over that arena. Alright, so I don't want to go any thinner than that. So I'm just going to put in the barbs. I'll regularize everything, and then I'll put in the barbs and the ears. It's going to be bigger than most Elkos. Yeah, because 51 millimeters it's way down here. So I can lose a lot and still be an Elko. But I'll keep it large, relatively speaking. This is not a large point in the realm of points in general, but for Elko it is. All right. Let's see. What am I going to do? What am I doing? I feel itchies already. Alright, so I'm going to use my spatula tool if I can find it. Do some easy peasy edge trimming with the spatula tool. And no, I'm not going to zoom in because I hate when I drift around out of frame. I'm trying to review my own video and I'm irritating myself and I'm yelling at myself. Hold on. I'm going, dang, stay in frame, dude. Dang it. What's the problem? You've only been doing this for forevers. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'll just keep it out of, I'll keep it at a distance. That way I don't drift out. Yeah. And for everybody that wants to see up close and personal stuff, on the edge trimming, oh well. This also helps me keep it further from my face too. If I don't have to worry about you guys being able to see. I can kind of nap without having to see everything. Yes, that is a thing. You can nap without having to see everything in complete clarity. You can nap in low light conditions if you want. It's not that easy, and it's hard on the eyes. It'll strain your eyes napping in low light conditions. But you can do it. And I've done it before many times. Yeah, this is not really that great. I don't want to do that to you guys. Let me zoom in. It's easier if I don't zoom in, but I don't want to do that to you guys. You won't be able to see anything. And I'll just be chuckling like, I know they can't see nothing, but I'm not going to do nothing about it. Why is it that makes the human brain chuckle? I don't know. The extreme version is sadism, right? The enjoyment of seeing other people suffer. It's amazing that the human brain actually enjoys that. Some people actually enjoy seeing the suffering of other people. How is that even possible that the brain would develop that way? I don't know, but it's a thing. Maybe it makes you feel glad that you're not the one suffering. Maybe. I have no idea. I'm sure most people, they get sick to their stomach when they see someone suffering. I know I do. It makes you sick. Physically, you start getting all ugh. Unless you know it's fiction, you know, you see these superhero movies and the guys are pounding on the enemies or the villains, and you're like, hey. That's a little bit different, you know. It's all fiction. But I suppose that has something to do with it. There's something in the brain that says, yes, we're going to defeat the opponent. And it makes us feel like we're accomplishing something, and it gives us the giggles. I don't know. How does that relate back to Flintknapping? Everything's got to relate back to Flintknapping if I'm talking about it. It relates back to Flintknapping because you're sitting there making this point with sharp edges, and you're going, this is going to cut. Ooh, this is going to cut really bad. Ooh, look at that. That's going to cut. Yeah. You're all giggly because it's going to cut the crap out of the target. Yeah. And you make it even sharper and sharper until you can't sharpen it no more. And you get disappointed. You wish it could be sharper. Yeah. We got to study. We had to study that side of the human brain because we're making weapons with these stone tools. In many cases, they're in a lot of cases that they're tools. They're used for constructing things and not destroying things. Stone tools primarily are used to construct things, not to destruct. As far as I can see. I may be wrong on that one too, but I think as far as I can tell, the stone is used to construct, to produce items, not to ruin or destroy. And people, normal people, when they get together, they don't want to destroy each other. They want to cooperate to build things that will be of benefit. But you do have to study the weapon aspect of the tools, because that's part of the motivation for making these. If you want to learn or understand why and how they were made, the why is important to the how. Like really delicate points, in my view, in my opinion, doesn't really matter that much, right? I'm just saying just giving you my opinion, and I'm stating it as my opinion so that you know that I'm not making a big deal out of it. Everyone's got something else in their anatomy along with opinions, and you know what I mean. Anyway, my opinion is these things were used as weapons. In the majority of cases, these things are more beneficial as weapons than as tools. Like, you're going to do a lot of woodworking with this obsidian point? Or are you going to do a lot of butchering with it? You're going to get glass in the meat? Is that what you want? No? Then why are you making it? Why are you making it with these pointy barbs? So you can impress your girlfriend? She doesn't care about this kind of stuff. I know from experience. And I only have like 7% of my viewers as women watching my channel. Only 7% of my channel viewers are women. They don't care about this kind of stuff. So why do we do it? It's one of those, it could be one of those toxic masculinity things. Yeah. Toxic. I laugh because, you know, it's, my sons make fun of me. They say, Dad, you're not supposed to know the terms these days. We don't like it when you know the terms. Just go back to being a boomer and not knowing what's going on. Yeah. My daughters are chill. I did not have a hard time with my daughters at all. I guess I'm lucky because I talk to people, I talk to other guys, and their daughters are rambunctious, headstrong, and very uncooperative in many cases. I got lucky. My girls are not that way. Yeah, they misbehaved as kids, yeah. They used to do all kinds of stuff, especially fighting with each other and poking each other, slapping. They used to have little slap fests. Yeah. Psh. Stop it. Psh. No, you stop it. Psh. You stop it. You started it. I didn't start it, but I can finish it. Psh, 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 psh. That kind of thing. But I think they are glad now that they have sisters. I have 4 daughters, and they're all very close. And I think, and I hope, that they enjoy having sisters. I always told them, you know, don't get too angry at each other. You're going to depend on each other eventually. You're going to be having to work together eventually. Life's not easy. It's easier if you work together. And they look at me. They get quiet. When they get quiet, it's like, ooh, maybe I have spoken the truth. Did I just speak the truth? Because I hear nothing. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, so I didn't have trouble with the girls very much. Not at all, actually. Well, I say that now because I'm very proud of them, but I'm trying to remember. My sons too. Of course, I'm proud of all my kids. I just mentioned my daughters because we're on the subject, right? Well, I'm on this subject. I don't know about you. You might be tuned out. You might be over in the kitchen going, what is he talking about again? He's going off on a tangent. I gotta go to the kitchen. If I'm not hungry, I'll make myself hungry because I don't want to listen to that. Yeah. Can you make yourself hungry? I know I can. Are you hungry? Not really. But give me 5 minutes. I can make myself feel hungry. You think I'm kidding? I am not kidding. I just start thinking about my favorite eateries and munchies and stuff. Oh yeah. I think I'm hungry after all. Yeah, I am hungry now. I don't know. Do you guys do that? Can you do that? I suppose you could. Put your mind to it. I used to get so angry at nature. Why is it that, we can't just eat and go on our merry way? Why? Why do we gotta watch what we eat? So unfair. Yeah. It is. It's not fair. But you know what? That's it. That's it. Everything is like that in life. You just gotta learn to say, oh well. Everything is, oh well. That's why I say that a lot in my videos. To get you used to it. Yeah. To get me used to it too. A lot of you guys got hard heads. You don't get used to nothing. But I can get used to it. Oh well. Apathy is a great thing sometimes. It reduces a lot of stress. But apathy is not perfect. It's not the perfect solution. Nothing is the perfect solution. There's always some sort of Goldilocks zone you gotta try to get into. Not too hot, not too cold. You know, the Goldilocks zone. Kids these days, they were not raised on Goldilocks and the Three Bears. They probably think Goldilocks is the racist. Yeah. It's funny. Anyway. How did I get into that? I don't want to get into these subjects. Alright, are we getting there? I think we're getting there slowly. I'm almost done. 54 minutes. Can we end this on the money? Exactly 60 minutes? I can. I just need to finish it first and then just piddle around and waste all the other time until I get to 60 minutes. It's so easy to run these thinning flakes. I mean, the series of thinning flakums. Flakums. I am getting tired. Oh, it looks so beautiful. It just isn't complete unless you got a haft. I have another one. I got another one of these that's skinnier, but I cannot find it. So I got to use the one that has the fat, big opening. But anyway, at least it'll fit. Yeah. Beauty. Should I make it even more delicate on the ears? Because a lot of these were delicate. Very, very delicate. Why they were so delicate? I think it has to do with the weaponry. It'll snap off right there. And this whole big piece will be left in the wound. And this little piece right below the neck is the only thing attached to the wood on the dart. And I think the vast majority of little dart points were foreshafted. Why? Okay, this is the reason. Why do I think these points 99% of the time were foreshafted with a foreshaft and not hafted directly to the main shaft? They can haft it directly to the main shaft if they want. Yeah. There's nothing saying they couldn't haft it directly to the main shaft, but why didn't they? Well, some people will say because this prevents breakage. It comes out and this part stays in the wound and you can reuse the main shaft over and over again because it falls away. I don't think that's the case, although it does happen. I think the reason why these are foreshafted, and it's just my opinion, is because the weight of the tip is a combination of the point and the foreshaft. Like when you use a 225 grain arrowhead on a modern arrow, to achieve that with stone, you need to add a foreshaft to it, and then you can get it up to 225 grains pretty easy. Same back in the day. If they had to have a heavy weight in front of their shaft and they come up with a little light 2-inch point, where's the rest of the weight coming from? It'll come from the foreshaft with a hard, heavy piece of wood, or better yet, a piece of bone or antler. It weighs a lot. The bone and antler weighs a lot more than wood. But you can find tough wood for your foreshaft and increase the weight of the tip. The projectile flies better that way. Lo and behold. That's why I think they were foreshafted, because the combination of point and foreshaft is the weight of the tip. That system is the tip of the system. System is the tip of the system. That arrangement is the tip of the system. The foreshaft and the point is the tip. Not just this by itself. This integrated with the foreshaft allows you to standardize weights. It doesn't matter if you've got a broken, shorter point. You can remount it on a heavier foreshaft and maintain the same weight as before for accurate shooting. Okay? All right. But that's just my opinion. And yeah, of course, the foreshafts would sometimes detach and you'd leave the point in the wound, the projectile, stone projectile point and the wood foreshaft in the wound. Yeah, I know that happened too. But I think the main reason is because of the standardization of the weights in order to increase the accuracy of shooting. You can easily adjust the foreshaft to get consistent weights on all your arrows or all your atlatl darts or all your spears or all your javelins or whatever you're using. Can't do that with a main shaft unless you mess with the length of it. And who wants to do that? You can't add to the length unless you have a foreshaft. Then you can add to the length. Anyway, it's done. It's a little bit larger than it needs to be. But if I wanted to make a reproduction, it would be 2 inches. What is this one? It's 2.5. It's larger than the real one, but oh well. it's best to start big, and then I can always reduce this down to a smaller size. Ooh, that light changed everything, huh? Moving the light. Let's get a thumbnail photo with some banding. So we can show it off. Yeah, cool. All right, that's it. Exactly an hour. All right.